This is the isometric crunch, reverse crunch combo, which means there are two movements in one. The first aspect of this movement is going to be the isometric crunch. This is going to work the upper portion of your rectus abdominals. What we're going to do is we have to choose A or B. This is form A of the isometric contraction. What you're either going to do is you're going to outstretch your fingers like this and touch the sides of your head, okay? And then you're going to crunch without using your neck. What that means is you're going to keep your eyes up, you're going to keep your spine in a neutral line. All we're going to do is we're going to lift the rear aspect of our shoulders off of the mat, and we're going to hold a forceful contraction at the top or the peak portion of the movement. This is form A. Simply holding this right here is form A. Now, why I like this form is because when we have our fingers to the side of our head, we're signaling to the brain that the neck has more support than it actually does, okay? Now, here is form B of the isometric contraction. It's called the hollow. So with the hollowed out form, boom. So this is the lift aspect. The hollow aspect is here. So the shoulders are up and engaged. The pecs are really engaged, fighting together, and you should feel a forceful contraction in your abdominals. Now, make sure that you keep your eyes up and you do not drive your neck forward. The eyes are up and the neck is even with the spine, okay? So whichever way you decide to go, just go with the one that allows you to feel your abdominals forcefully contracting the very best, okay? My favorite, personally, is this one here, but then a lot of my clients also like this one here. Doesn't matter to me which one you use. Now, that is the first portion of the movement. Again, as long as you can feel the upper portion of your rectus abdominals, which is literally right here, forcefully contracting, you are using the right one for you. The next aspect of this movement, which is going to be part 2, is going to be the reverse crunch of the isometric crunch, reverse crunch combo, okay? For the reverse crunch, what we're going to do is we're going to drive our heels as close to our hamstrings as we possibly can. And what we're going to do for the reverse crunch is in a C-like fashion, okay? We're going to lift the low back and the upper portion of your butt off of this mat with control, okay? When we do this with control, we allow for the lower portion of the abs to actually work. If we do this rapidly, we're going to forcefully contract the hip flexors more strongly than the lower abs. So do not do that. Everything is slow, everything is smooth, everything is controlled. Again, we're coming up in a C-like fashion versus just driving our knees towards us and away from us, okay? So in your mind, you're putting a mental picture that you're coming up in a C-like fashion. Now, the next portion of this is adduction, okay? So we're going to drive our knees and our heels towards one another, hard, okay? When we do this, so this here, okay, this movement right here is we're driving our knees and our heels towards one another, adduction. It allows for us to use the medial aspect of the hamstrings as well as the groins to forcefully contract the abdominals as well. Okay, this is a really awesome aspect of this movement. You're going to drive those knees and heels together, and we're simply going to create the movement. Okay, so this is the reverse crunch movement, all right? And again, hard enough to lift the butt and the lower aspect of your back off of the mat. Okay, so that's the reverse crunch. So if you can only get to here while keeping your heels and your knees together, that's your range of motion. But if you can get here while doing the same exact thing, that is your range of motion. As you get stronger, your range of motion will absolutely improve. So the second portion of this movement is the reverse crunch. See how I'm getting the low back and the butt off of the mat without using any momentum. And I'm also not allowing my low back to come off of the mat, okay? Now, let's combine the movements together. So, whichever portion you want to use, the hollow, or if you want to use the finger-like position, completely fine, A or B, right? I'm going to use A. So I have my upper abdominals forcefully contracting right now as we speak. I can feel that little shake going through my abdominals. That's how I know I'm forcefully contracting. I'm using as much range of motion as I have to my disposal. The next portion here is going to be combining this isometric contraction while keeping my eyes up with the lower abdominals coming from the reverse crunch. So how we're going to breathe, that is exhale, inhale. Notice how I get my butt and my low back off of the floor. Remember that. Remember, you do not want your knees or your heels to come apart in this entire movement. That dictates your range of motion. For me, that's about as far as I can get. Or else the knees start to come apart at about here. Okay? So keep them together. You do not want to take such a big inhale that you extend your spine. You want to be able to control this breathing directly from diaphragmatic breathing, so we're only using our stomach muscles to breathe. It looks like this. So the entire time, that's where I'm breathing from without lifting my spine from the mat. One more time. Engage the top. And then we got the mobilized portion of the hips and the legs. Keeping the knees and the heels together. Nose, mouth. Nose, mouth. Again, remembering never to contract the neck, ever, in this entire movement, whether you're using this or whether you're using this aspect of the isometric portion, okay? So with that being said, that is the isometric crunch, reverse crunch combo.